What's up, guys? Another new comic book day is almost here, so it's time to take a look at all the books coming out so I can tell you what I'm getting. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Subscribe to the channel if you like talking comics like I do. Now, as you can see, I'm here in a hoodie, not for show, but because it's actually cool in my house again. So thanks to all of you for bearing with me during the content drought, because it was hot. I just couldn't do it. It was just too hot. We're going to celebrate this Thursday on the Hangout, by the way. And thank you. We, over the weekend, passed 6,000 subscribers. Each time we hit one of these milestones, I try to make it a point to kind of shout it out, not like to gloat or anything. Cause 6,000, I mean, it's a small number by YouTube standards, but like each of you are like super important and special to me. So I just want to say thank you for being a part of the community, for sharing your love for comics with me and allowing me to share mine with you. So yeah, all the sentimental stuff. Now let's get into this week's books. There's a lot coming out. And I always like to start with the book that I'm most excited for. And this week, that is Blood Syndicate Season 1, Issue number 4. Blood Syndicate, written by Jeffrey Thorne with art by Chris Cross and inks by Juan Castro. Look, I've been enjoying Blood Syndicate. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite titles, if not, it honestly might be my favorite title. It's one of very few that I'm fully caught up on outside of like the X-Men universe. But anyway, Blood Syndicate, if you're not familiar with Milestone Comics, Blood Syndicate was their team book way back in the day. And when they decided to reboot Milestone back in 2020, Blood Syndicate wasn't on the slate. At least it wasn't announced as being on the slate. They brought Blood Syndicate back way after everything else. But anyway, here we are at issue 4 of season 1. We've been kind of getting like a slow introduction to all the members. We met Aquamaria and Fade and Tech 9 and Wise Son, or Hannibal. And he finds himself in a bit of a pickle, right? He's kind of our ride-along character in that he came back from overseas at war, and the world has changed around him, and he's being all caught up, right? Because when you're from, the inner city, the hood, the projects, right, that life doesn't really leave you. It always kind of shows up in certain ways, but he's been thrust back into the action, and we are very clearly getting our antagonist, Holocaust, set up with all of his machinations and everything that he's got going on. And we're getting the Blood Syndicate being set up, being kind of thrust together, and we're gearing up toward a final confrontation, which I would imagine would happen in issue 6. But man, this has been such a fun ride so far through 3 issues. Very excited for issue 4, and that's out tomorrow from DC Comics and Milestone Media with a cover price of $3.99. And I would tell you I'm only getting cover A, but I'm actually down for both covers. So I'm getting both of them. And that kicks off the pull list. Since we're talking about Milestone, which is a bit of an offshoot of DC Comics, let's get going with the DC pull list this week, starting with Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, Green Lantern number 1. 1 second. My bad. Discord notifications. If you're not in the K Squad, go ahead and join. But Dark Crisis, World Without a Justice League, Green Lantern number 1. These are these one-shots that are kind of like the Funeral for a Friend type book for each member of the Justice League that has passed. This one focuses on Green Lantern, which this Green Lantern that we lost in the Dark Crisis event is John Stewart. So I'm excited to see how the rest of the Corps reacts to his demise, his disappearance, if you will. And honestly, I'm so behind on the Dark Crisis event. I read issue 1. I think I read like half of issue 2. And then they announced that this was basically a sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths. So I stopped everything and I started trying to read Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I can't lie. It's a lot of words. It's a whole lot of words. And it feels so weird to like be anti-words when you're a comic book reader, because reading is a requirement of it. But it's taking a minute. It's taking me a minute. So I'm going to get through Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then I'm going to get back into Dark Crisis, and this tie-in will be waiting for me. Do you need it for the story? Probably not. You could probably just stick to the 7-issue main event. But You know me. I'm a DC nerd. So here we are. Now, that's got a cover price of $4.99, and I'm getting cover A. And next up from DC Comics is the book or series that got me into DC Comics, ironically. Dceased, War of the Undead Gods, #1. So Tom Taylor is finally rounding out his Dceased trilogy. Yes, there have been like 4 series, but it's a trilogy. And this series, War of the Undead Gods, apparently is going to give us like a final confrontation between our Dceased heroes and Darkseid, who, his whole quest for the anti-life equation is what started all this in the first place. So I'm excited to see the showdown. Do I need this in single issues, knowing that it's probably going to get collected into a hardcover? Yes, I want it in single issues because the cover that I'm getting to this is an homage to the 4-part Jim Lee X-Men #1 cover. Now, this is, I believe, going to be a 7-issue series, 7 if not 8, but I'll put it on the screen, whichever one. So I don't know what they're going to do after they finish these homage covers, but I'm down for it. I got DC's Dead Planet in single issues. Hope at World's End was a digital release, so I didn't get the single issues for that. I don't think there were single issues for that. But anyway, you guys know I got the whole DC's hardcover set, and I'm eventually going to add this series whenever they release it in hardcover. But I'm a sucker for homage variants, and I wanted to get the story anyway, so I'm getting the story. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting that cover. I don't know which cover it is. I'm assuming it's a cover B. And next up on the DC Comics pull list is I Am Batman issue #12. Man. All right. Look, let's get it out of the way. These last 3 DC books, I'm behind on every single one. I Am Batman, though, really found a stride after issue 3. I was following it all the way up through issue 7. And I don't know where I fell. Well, I know where issue I fell behind on, but I got to get back in the game. But I've been really enjoying it. John Ridley's been one of my favorite writers here recently. I'm enjoying his I Am Batman. I'm also enjoying his Black Panther run, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But I Am Batman #12 has got a cover price of $3.99, getting cover A. And next up on the DC pull list is Naomi, Season 2, issue #6. This is the final issue of Naomi Season 2. And all indications are that this is probably not getting a Season 3. Look, a lot of the whole push behind Naomi as a character was the TV show that she was going to get. Well, she got that show, and that show got canceled, and that show really wasn't a good adaptation. And then Season 2 of the comic came kind of coinciding with the release of the show, but it was telling such a different story. And once the show was just off the rails, I was just ugh. And it felt bad because it was hard for me to read the book without being reminded of some of the aspects that I didn't like about the show, even though the book was so much better than the show. And I just fell off. I had a fun talk with David Walker about it, though, at Heroes Con. But anyway, I'm going to get back caught up with Season 2 of Naomi because, I don't know. It seems like that's going to be it for Naomi. Hopefully it's not. But, I mean, are you going to be able to sell Season 3? How's that going to go with nothing, no other media to push that? Anyway, the end of Season 2 of Naomi is coming out this week. It's got a cover price of $3.99. Getting that cover A. By the way, the Jamal Campbell art is worth you picking up this series if you don't do anything else with it. Next up on the DC Comics pull list is Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue #14. Another series that I thought was really strong through the first story arc. And then once we got into the second, it's not that it got bad. I just started to lose interest. And then all of a sudden, I'm 6 issues behind. So I'm going to have to take a day and just sit down and read all my DC comics because I'm fully caught up on Marvel. It feels weird to not be caught up on DC. But Superman, Son of Kal-El, written by Tom Taylor. By the way, we're getting an event, I want to say in September, where they're finally going to bring Clark Kent back to Metropolis. And I'm imagining this series is going to tie into that with the next couple of issues. So anyway, I was really enjoying the family aspect. This was one of my favorite titles on shelves for a while, but I just fell behind. Life got in the way. So Son of Kal-El 14, it's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And that's the end of my DC Comics pull list. Man, that was painful. It's hard to not be reading books that you're still buying. I need to read these books. That's the moral of today's story. But if I stick to the list and don't buy anything extra, God knows I can't afford to read anything extra. My total is going to be $25 for the DC books this week. And that brings us to the Marvel comics on my pull list, where the first up is a.x.e, Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, Judgment Day, number 2. Now look, prior to this event starting, I was not super sold on the Judgment Day event. I was just look, I just want the X-Men to be the X-Men. And between the Hellfire Gala and Ten of Swords, and I feel like there was something in between the middle of those, there's just enough events. Let's just let some story play out. But we finally got the Secret of Resurrection out as of a couple of months ago. And the Eternals are here to deal with it, right? And I honestly would rather see some of the more human agencies. I'd rather see Orcus be the main villain that comes because of the Resurrection secret being out. But hey, we got the Eternals. I was not sold on this series until I read X-Men Red number 5 last week. And that really solidified it for me. This is honestly exciting. There are some other threads coming out of this event that apparently aren't going to be continued until 2 issues from now of SpiderMan. But hey, whatever. I'm down for the ride, and hopefully I don't regret it. It's got a cover price of $4.99. I'm getting cover A. Now, next up on the Marvel pull list is The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 7. Now, I was enjoying The Amazing Spider-Man all the way up through issue 5. But of course, with last month's issue 6, aka 900, if you write a 92-page comic book, you could probably expect me not to read it on time. I didn't read it on time. And so hopefully it really was as much a one-shot story as everyone who reviewed it said so. Because I plan on jumping into issue 7 without reading issue 6, because I only got 2 days left. But I need to know what's going on with Mary Jane. I need to know what happened. Why does everyone hate Peter Parker? What happened with Norman Osborn? Why is everyone reacting this way? But also, how in the world do all these mob bosses respond to the events of issue 5? I believe it was issue 5. Where Tombstone kind of double-crossed Spidey. And look, I'm not spoiling anything. I learned my lesson last week. So, hey, if I'm going to spoil something, I'll tell you I'm going to spoil it. But I'm not spoiling anything. So I'm going to stop right there. But that's what I need. I need us to get some follow-up from those events. And hopefully we get that started up in issue 7. So Amazing Spider-Man number 7 by Zeb Wells. I believe John Romita Jr. is back for art on this issue. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And the last book on my Marvel Comics pull list is Black Panther, issue number 8. Speaking of spoilers, again, I'm not spoiling anything, but with issue 7, there was a lot of uproar, a lot of chatter online. People were really upset. And the gist of it is that diehard T'Challa fans are not happy with his treatment, both in the MCU and in the comics. There are things that are happening in both of these mediums that kind of make people feel like, oh, they just don't respect T'Challa. They think he's replaceable. He's not on the throne that he deserves to be on, and so on. And I won't spoil what happened in issue 7 to make people feel that way. But this series by John Ridley, I have been enjoying. I feel like I'm walking a fine tightrope with what I'm trying to discuss, but there are things happening in this Black Panther run that, there's something I wish we could see that we're not seeing. But what I do like is this book is sort of exploring what is the relationship between T'Challa and Wakanda. Look, you're always leaving. One day you're in space. You're keeping secrets from us. Are you a man of the people? Are you a man of the nation? Or do you just think we're supposed to just follow after you always? I like that central question, and I like him arriving at, or kind of going through and analyzing himself through the lens of the people. And I think that's super cool. You've got the political stuff going on. You've got, sort of insurgency going on as a backdrop of T'Challa really having a reckoning with himself. And hopefully, you know, this run restores him to proper glory, as they say. But if not, I'm still down for the ride. So Black Panther #8 by John Ridley. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I feel like the art could be a little bit stronger, but I'm enjoying it anyway. I'm getting the cover A because Alex Ross is doing covers. And when you got a chance to buy an Alex Ross cover, you buy it. But anyway, that's the end for my Marvel Comics pull list. If I just stick to that list, my Marvel books are going to cost me $13 this week. Let's move on to the indies, where for the first time in a very long time, there are 0 indie books on my pull list this week. I've been trying to drop indie, or not indies specifically, but I'm trying to drop books that I'm not reading, says the guy with 3 DC books unread on the list. But, I think, what was it? Spawn. It was a bunch of Spawn on my pull list, and I was like never reading it. So I dropped all the Spawn titles, and I don't think there's anything else on the indie front that I was even interested in, except this one book that's on the maybe list this week is 007 #1, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Marco Finnegan. I've never read a 007 book. I've never read a James Bond book, but Dynamite seems to always keep a James Bond title on shelves. And so, hey, it's a lighter week. I'm under budget. I might as well try it out. I still don't know if I'm going to try it out, but I might as well try it out. So, 007 #1 by Philip Kennedy Johnson is on the maybe list this week. But if I don't buy that, then my grand total for the week is just going to be $38. And hey, that's not bad, because next week I am getting a little bit closer to that $50 budget. And so I'm trying to stay a little bit more clear of that budget. Look, I don't have room in my time budget for a bunch more series. And so just because I got a light week doesn't mean I want to run around adding to it. I probably shouldn't pick up a new #1. So I probably won't. Hopefully Dynamite does a collected edition of James Bond later. I can grab it then. But look, what's on your list this week? I'm so out of practice, it seems. I want to know what's on your pull list. What books are you excited about? Blood Syndicate is definitely my must read for the week. Dceased, War of the Undead Gods, must read. Judgment Day #2, must read. And I put Black Panther and SpiderMan on that list as well. The others, I got to get caught up on. Worlds Without Justice League, Green Lantern, that's probably the one you could skip. But hey. Oh, and if you're not reading Naomi, then there's no need to buy season 2, issue 6. Just wait for the trade or hardcover, because it is coming out. But anyway, that's it for my pull list this week. Like I said, I want to know what you're excited about. Hopefully, you got books on your list that you're going to enjoy. I'm going to get off camera and, read some books, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon. Till then, I hope you saw something you liked, and if not, hey, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy, and be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.